It starts with an itch and a tingle, and then it builds and expands. And suddenly, all at once, my legs won't let me stand. I scratch till my fingers go numb.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Suicide Sucks. So with me today in the camper van, I've got a tea and Ellie has got a cup of coffee. We have Ellie, and she is the inspirational founder and CEO of EPiC Hope. And EPiC Hope is a mental health and suicide prevention organisation dedicated to providing critical support and life-saving training. Fantastic. Now, Ellie is also a suicide survivor, and she's overcome many things, from major spine surgery and also an accident that has left her with neurological issues. So, welcome to the camper van. And you've been introduced to Ozzy. You've met Ozzy, my little assistant.
Yes.
And so, as people should know by now, I'm going to start with that big question and get you on the spot to just think of one of the darkest days that you've had and tell us about that day.
So, there have been so many. Gosh, she says, laughing. I can't tell you about my very darkest day. I can't tell you about my very darkest day because it's a part of my life that I don't talk about. But I can tell you about the second darkest day. I think the second darkest day of my life was when I went to Hay Hall to take my life. So Hay Hall is a beautiful big park area in Wigan. It's beautiful. It's like
I should have said we're in Wigan.
Yeah. So Hay Hall, people know it in this area. Yeah, we're in Wigan at the moment. We're in Wigan in a camper van, and it's fantastic. We should be in Hay Hall actually, and it's a beautiful area. It's got an old stately home and lots of trees and countryside, and it's just a beautiful area. I don't even know if it's a village, but it's called Hay. It's stunning. And when my daughter was born, and she's 23 now, after many, decades of feeling suicidal, I actually hit rock bottom and really, really needed to take my life. It was a desperation. However, I didn't, because I always had this, I don't know what it was. I can't call it a strength. Survival instinct, I think, inside, not to take my life. But what happened was I cried out. Did I speak about this to you? I cried out to a God that I didn't know existed.
Right.
In my car, in the pouring rain. I had a little green Metro at the time. We don't see Metros anymore, do we? A little green Metro. And I was in a bad way. I was in a very bad way. She was new. My son was 9. And that was it, really. I was needing to die, but knew I couldn't. And it's the worst place to be in, not wanting to be here, wanting to die and knowing that you can't. I know a lot of people say, how can people take their lives when they leave loved ones and things? But I believe you're just not in your right mind at that time. And I certainly wasn't that day. And many times you're just so poorly. You're struggling with so many things, I believe, when you're in that position. But that was one of the worst days of my life.
And what was it that led you to that?
So I think I had postnatal depression as well. And what had happened for me was, from being a young girl, I'd started with suicidal ideation at the age of 12, practically preteen. So without going into other people's stories, because I'm always very careful about this, I really believe that we should honour other people's lives and stories. So I have to be really careful how I speak about this. But I grew up with, you know, I saw suicide, I'll say. I saw suicide and trauma. And also when I was born, when I was 11 days old, my own biological father had been very abusive and very violent to my mother and me. And so, as you can imagine, there was a lot of trauma in the home. And so that affects a child growing up. It really does. So from 12, I think because I saw things, I almost learned that was the way out when things were going bad, things were going wrong. That, you know, if times were hard, there was that option that you ended your life.
So you actually saw it as an option.
I actually saw it as an option. And I'll be quite honest with you, that option will always be with me. It will always be with me to this day. So I don't act upon it. And I am always wanting to save lives. And I do practice of, whoa.
Yeah, if you can hear that, there's a car just parking and it looks like it's just about to crash into the blooming van. Jeez.
He's doing a really good reverse.
Yeah, very
panic
good.
Then.
Yeah.
Don't hit the camper van. Not when I've decided to stay here.
And don't interrupt us. Carry on.
So what part was I up to? Yeah, so what I'm saying is, I think I'm at the age now where I've learnt to accept who I am and how I can feel. But that's come from maturity, and that's come from years of therapy. Because I know that I come from a traumatic background, a traumatic childhood. And then in my teen years, I also had 3 really traumatic experiences that definitely didn't help me. You know what I mean? So, a lot of trauma there. I get sick of that word trauma as well.
I know,
I actually
but
get sick of the word trauma. I think, can I not think of another word to say? Because we constantly use it. But, because I am, at best and at heart, I know this really might sound strange, but I'm a really happy person. Like, I am a happy person.
I can tell instantly when I first met you.
Yeah, I'm always full of joy, and I always want everybody else to be happy, and I try to, I want people to be happy.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, what is it? It's not even a dark cloud over me. It's something that I know is part of my life. Now, if things hadn't happened to me as a baby and I hadn't, had a really abusive stepfather after already having a violent father, and if I hadn't gone through that, and if I hadn't seen the things I'd gone through as a child and not endured those things, and then gone through what I did as a teenager, which was horrific, and then, gone into my 20s, and I do write about these things in my book. I did write a book called Broken to Blooming. Oh my goodness.
Now they've just opened the car door on the van. For heaven's sake, be careful.
Whoa. I think they're jealous because I'm going to steal it first.
Maybe. Yeah.
See, we've got to laugh, haven't we?
Yeah, I know.
We're talking about all this heavy stuff. I
Exactly. I'm just
saying
getting my
now,
eye on
anyway.
them. I know, I'm just, yeah.
I think I was talking about really deep, heavy stuff, so just let me have another drink of my coffee. I think if I hadn't have gone through that, who knows what my life would have been. It's like, I often think, I wonder if I'd not had those things, would I have ever been suicidal? Because suicide is, so many people are actually suicidal. You'd be amazed. People who you look at in the street, it's endemic. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. And I don't think people admit to having those feelings as well. So, yeah.
There's still so much shame and stigma attached to it. And it's World Suicide Prevention Day tomorrow, and you know, the theme for this year and 2025 and 2026 is change the narrative, start the conversation, which is amazing. But we've been saying things like this for years, and I just don't think... I think we're always going to be banging our heads against brick walls for some people, but what we need to do is not concentrate on the people who are always going to be ignoring it or not caring. There's always going to be people in the world who don't care. We have to concentrate on reaching the people who will care, who will join us in our mission of helping people, who do care that people don't take their lives, who do care about making sure people have resources and somewhere to go. And there are people in authority who want to help. There's always going to be people who can say the wrong thing and who literally don't care, and they say, well, it's not my business, I'm not interested, until something happens in their circle. And that's, you know, but at the end of the day, I think if we keep focusing on what our mission is or our vision, you know, I know that this is what I have to do. I want to help people. I want people to have hope. Our team, we care, Steph and Ree and Dr. Abraham, who's one of our directors. You know, it means the world to us to help people and to reduce suicide rates. And we're a massive, you know, we collaborate with people massively, that we want a zero suicide society. That's what we want. And if we don't truly believe that, if we don't believe that, how's it ever going to happen? So that's what we have to keep pushing for. And that's what we do believe. And personally, I do believe in miracles, because a miracle happened. And I did find my faith, you know, after that event.
Right. So this was when you were in Hay Park?
Yeah. It was unbelievable what happened. About 3 days later, I met somebody in a salon.
Yeah.
And I won't go into too much detail, but let me just say that because of the woman I met, and I knew what had happened. I knew because I was on my own 3 days before, ready to take my life.
Yeah.
And just saying, gosh, God, if you're up there and you're actually real,
Yeah.
you need to come and do something, because I need to die, but I don't want to die because I don't want to leave my children.
Yeah.
And something really amazing happened 3 days later when I met this lady. Look at you, like, do you want me to tell
yes,
you?
I do.
Okay, so I always think,
How can you say that?
I know.
Tell me, please.
Well, really, I should go, so buy the book. But,
Well,
well,
yeah.
actually, it's at the end of the book, because the book is Broken to Blooming is actually about the first 30 years of my life.
Right.
So it talks about what happened when I was born, right up to me finding my faith, actually. So
Yeah.
it's about all the wild stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm
Sounds-
actually an ordained minister now. But don't worry, I
you
will
really?
forgive you for swearing.
Are you? Oh my, honestly, I've been swearing constantly since she arrived and I was making the cuppa.
Yeah, but
Oh,
you made me
gosh.
laugh.
Wow.
Because I'm not going to...
Okay, so...
You are forgiven, my dear.
Thanks. What is it? That's wrong, isn't it? Thank you.
But what I'm saying is, it was mind-blowing what happened.
Tell me.
So I was literally... I mean, people who know how it feels to literally be at the end, ready to go, and there are a lot of people who know, they will understand how I felt that day and where I'd got to, literally ready to do it. And then I just cried out, because all I could think of was, I cannot leave my children, because I knew how... So a lot of my mental health problems have been because of rejection, because my own mother had obviously tried to take her life on multiple occasions. And
Right, okay.
I don't like telling my mum's story, but obviously that is part of my story.
It's part of yours, absolutely.
But I can understand why she did it. I had an extremely violent father. My brother died because of my father. And then I had an extremely violent and sexually abusive stepfather. So, to be honest, we had it really bad.
Yeah.
So I understand. You can understand why.
Absolutely.
So I was in that place, and I thought, I can't do this do this to my children. I can't leave my children.
Because of the rejection for them.
I thought, I can't do this to them.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I did. And I just was, so basically, I wasn't going, dear God, if you're there, please come and fix this. I was literally crying and screaming out. Like in desperation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my gosh, there's a God, isn't there? If there's a God, you flipping need to do something, because you need to do something, because I can't do this anymore. I can't live. I can't cope with this pain. I can't do it. And I did get a calm. There was something happened, because evidently I did not take my life. I drove home. I drove home. And anyway, 3 days later, my partner at the time said, because we weren't married, I was Rihanna's dad, who went through so much. Like, was really good to me when I was so poorly. And he said to me 3 days later, he said, he was sort of dealing with a postnatal depressed mom. But he also knew that I was, so I wasn't the postnatally depressed where, and this is why my heart breaks for women who struggle with postnatal depression. Some women can't cope with the child, and it's so not their fault, whereas I was the opposite. So I was overly anxious. So literally waking up if they were to check they were breathing, or putting mirrors on her face to check breath, and I had to be with her all the time. Like, the anxiety was horrendous, and also obsessed that paedophiles were going to come and take her, and that was obviously because of what I'd been through with my stepfather. So it was, so I'd already gone through it with my son, and then I had this little girl, and it was horrific. So you can imagine my mind.
Well, it would have just been so triggering.
It was horrific, yeah. And to be honest with you, even now at this age, I've had a lot of therapy. However, I've learnt now just why I have such bad catastrophic thinking. So even though I don't have it now, I never knew that's what it was. It's called catastrophic thinking, and it's when people instantly think the worst. So you instantly think really bad things, but it's not just because of bad things happening, it's because of the trauma effect on your brain. So
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's horrific.
So I have people in my life that are like that.
Yeah.
And it's every little, I mean, I don't know how they sleep, because every little thing in life,
it's heartbreaking.
It's catastrophised, if that's a word.
It is a word.
That's really interesting.
Oh, it's awful as well. So you really have to learn. So let me give you an example. Like, so when my son used to play out, if I let him, like, seriously, he would go to a friend's round the corner. So in my head, it would be, oh, by the time he gets to the corner, a van will have stopped and taken him.
Yeah.
That's my instant thought, not, oh, he'll get to his friends, okay. So my poor son had to live his life with a mum that, so don't get me wrong, your whole life isn't like that, because you're not telling everybody you're thinking that, but you are living in a state of anxiety at all times. So even now, my daughter's 23, and I'm constantly, like, she can't even drive to her dad's, which is just the next village. She has to let me know she's there. Now, I know we all do that, because that's how we live in this modern age now. Oh, we haven't heard from them, we all live with them. But I literally, if she doesn't text me, I will instantly think she's crashed, or somebody's capsized the car and kidnapped her.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So, and then, so what I learned off my therapist was, it's highly unlikely. So this is my sentence. It's highly unlikely that's happened. So me and my daughter laugh at it, because I have to go, if I start thinking, we will laugh about it.
Yeah.
So my daughter will say something, like we'll have a talk about something, and then we'll both laugh, and I'll go, but it's highly unlikely that will happen. But then we laugh because she knows,
Yeah.
don't worry, Mum, I'll still text you.
Yeah.
Like, I'll still text you.
That's brilliant. And also it's like, because you know how some people say, look at what's the worst case scenario, you know, what's the worst that can happen. That obviously isn't going to work for
does not
somebody
work
like
with
you.
me, no.
So I like that kind of...
It's highly
but
unlikely.
It's highly unlikely.
But to me,
I
I'm like,
it.
yeah, but it'll probably happen to me. Because what you've got to think is this. And it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But, so my dad tried to kill me when I was 11 days old. So then I had a really abusive stepfather. Then I was raped when I was 15. And the guy who did that is now in prison for murder for life. Oh, I know, it's ridiculous. Like, I look now and I think, oh, you couldn't even make a film because it's too far-fetched. Like, all my friends, like, I've got friends from school and they're still like, oh, we're so glad you're still here and you're normal. You're like, normal. You've turned out normal. But we have to laugh about it. And then, yeah, but I've also had a really amazing life as well. Like, I've travelled the world and I used to sing and I've done backing for amazing bands. And
Wow.
I've done lots of amazing stuff as well. Like, I've had amazing things happen in my life. Then, but yeah, really, really bad stuff happened. Really horrendous stuff. And then I just get my life together. And then I was nearly paralysed. I had to have spine surgery. And then I recover from that and get hit by a flipping van. A transit van at that. The extra long vans. It wasn't even a normal sized van.
Oh,
Yeah.
my words.
I know. I mean, that's just rude, isn't it? And so that was 2017. And we didn't even know how ill I was for a while.
Sorry, I'm just taking all this in. I mean...
So my brain's actually a super brain because it's a miracle I'm here.
It really must be. And it must go back to this enlightening moment that happened, which we need to go back to,
I
the
know.
3 days later.
So that's the faith in God. I honestly believe God has kept me alive. Because what happened with that was I walked into... So Rhiannon's father said to me, why don't you, bless him, why don't you go and have a sunbed and get your nails done? He was trying everything to try and pamper me. And I was saying, well, I'm taking her with me. No, leave her with me, she'll be fine. So I walked up to this salon, and when I walked in, this is true, like, because I know your listeners will think, no way.
They won't.
But it is true. And the woman can verify it. And well,
There's a cushion there if you want to move that.
I don't, because I'll
feel
fall
like
asleep. I'll be
No, you
so
won't.
chilled out.
Well, honestly.
So everybody, I'm just about to lie down and get into it. I'm literally about to have therapy. I'm just in heaven. Seriously, all my friends know that I am in heaven in this camp van.
Yeah.
Like, I might go home, get my dog, kidnap you, and just go to Scotland.
Let's go.
'Cause I'm in heaven.
Can we wait until the road trip's over, though?
This is amazing. You are living my life dream. So I walked in the door, and as I walked in the door, I opened, and I looked over at the reception. There was this tall blonde lady there, and she looked at me, and she said, I knew you were coming. God told me. Now, if somebody had said that to me...
Oh, my, I've got
earlier
absolutely
than 3 days...
goosebumps.
Yeah. I would have thought they were nuts.
Yeah.
And I'd have thought, oof, I'm not going in there. But what happened to me was I had this, whoa, I know he told you. I literally felt it in my body. And I just knew that she knew. And I had this, I knew that God was real.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was very powerful. And I have a very, very strong faith. And I've had lots of amazing experiences. And I do have a very strong faith. And I believe that that's why I didn't die in the accident in 2017, because I should have died, because the police actually said they couldn't work out. My bike had gone under the van, but I'd been thrown the way it was, the way the van had hit me, I should have really gone under the van too. But I got thrown over the roundabout, but my bike was like under the van, trapped. It was really strange.
So with this lady, did you have a conversation with her about? Did you say to her, "I can't believe you said that"? Or
I didn't tell her what had happened, but I did have
Ah.
a conversation with her. And then I went to church with her. But what we did, we stayed in touch for a couple of weeks. I kind of got close to her in a way, not close, but kind of opened up to her. But I went to church with her a couple of weeks later. Or did I? No, I didn't. I promised I'd go and then I didn't, because I thought, oh no, I'm not doing that. But then I went. I think I went about 3. I put her off once and then I went. But then I went to the church, which was amazing. Yeah, and then...
So do you think, because I always ask people once they've talked about the darkest day, what got you through, what's helped, because obviously different things help different people. So would you say that it was your faith then? That
I honestly believe that, well, I'm just going to have to be blunt. I believe now, because when I was 11 days old and my dad gave me surgical spirit, so all your organs are meant to melt. Look at your face. Yeah, so when you put all this together, I shouldn't actually be here. So it's not my faith that's kept me alive, it's God. I think I'm here for a reason.
Right.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
So, and I know what you're thinking, because
you only discovered it at that point in Hay.
Yeah.
But actually, it
I
was
just
from
think, flipping heck, I should not have been here. I should be dead. I should be dead, and I feel like there are so many occasions I should be dead.
Yeah, you've had
Because
quite
I've
a lot
tried
of
to
lives.
take my life.
It's like a cat.
I've tried to take. Well, it says on my Facebook.
Oh, does it?
I'm still here, like a cat.
How many lives are you up to?
I know. Well, I'm hoping that's it now, because I really need a rest. I really need a rest. I do just like to chill.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I know. It's like I look at my life now and I just literally think, oh my gosh, there has been a lot of stuff happened, and I really do just want to chill. But I'm busy now. Now is not the time to chill.
Well, I was just about to say that is clearly far from what you are doing.
Yeah.
Because the other thing we need to talk about, obviously, is your involvement. And, well, you're the founder, aren't you, of EPiC Hope. So tell us a bit about that.
So EPiC Hope is... Well, the reason for EPiC Hope is because Wigan, along with some other towns in the northwest, has a high rate of suicides. It's gone through phases of having the highest rates of suicides for a town. At the moment, it's not the first, which we're really happy about at the moment. There was that, but also after I had my brain injury, after the accident, I became very suicidal again. And we discovered that there's a really high link, like an 81% statistic of people who've got brain injury in taking their lives. It becomes more, I forgot the word now. The statistic becomes much higher. It's actually 81%. Headway have done a lot of research into it.
Wow.
And we were talking about it because I couldn't understand why this had happened, and obviously our brain's such a powerful thing, isn't it? And I've done so much research into it now, it's blown my mind how to make it better, because I'll talk about that in a minute, what happened with my brain after the accident. But so we started EPiC Hope because we wanted to open places, and we've called them harbours, where people felt that they could come in from a storm, and somewhere that they could talk and get help and get resources and just know they could talk to somebody, whether they were feeling in suicidal crisis, or even if we don't want them to even get to suicidal crisis. So somewhere they can come for a brew and a chat. Or even we have people come who are looking after people who are suicidal, and even they need a safe space to come to and talk as well.
So are these harbours, are they buildings? Are they spaces?
They're in community or in the rugby clubs, or we've got them in all different places. And we're just about to open 3 new ones as well. So we've got one
Right.
opening in Goulburn that's at a rugby club. They've really wanted one in that area as well. We've got one opening in Lee at a place that does a lot for its community in Higher Folds in Lee. And then we'll be opening one shortly in the centre of Wigan as well. Another one in Atherton as well. Well, actually, there's going to be 2 in Atherton, one at one side and one at the other side.
Right.
So, but they've been community-led, but we're definitely going for more of a, where they're more accessible to everybody, because we've found that people don't always want to go to one that's in their community. They'd rather be somewhere where they didn't necessarily know people.
Yes.
Because we found a couple that there could be, I don't know, people that felt they couldn't go because they knew people, and people don't like gossip and things. And sometimes, if it's too small a community, and these are all things that we've had to take into account.
That's really interesting, because a lot of the time when you are speaking about stuff, you want that anonymity, don't you?
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And so what you've said harbours, is it, do they all have different opening times? Are they places that you drop in at? Or?
Yeah, so the harbours, some of them are evenings, some of them are daytimes. So it's, we've basically worked out, well, between us, she says on a podcast.
Yeah, it's just between us, Ellie.
Just
Anything
between
you
us
say.
and everybody who's listening. So the harbours are usually about 2 hours, and then with a couple that are 3 hours, and they've been during the day and at evenings. Also in Wigan, we've got Andy's Man Club and Directions for Men and that, so we always make sure we don't do it on their nights as well.
Yes.
Because we really love to collaborate with other people, but not just that. It's about the people in Wigan and Lee. It's about them accessing help when they need it. And for us to make sure that we've got a proper safety net for people, we all need to be working together. So the guys at Andy's Man Club and Directions Men, they're brilliant. And so we will say at our harbours, go, if we're not here at this time, you can go to them. And they will say, I was talking to Pete at Andy's Man Club, and he was like, look, if you can't get to us, if you need us and we're not there because we're there on a Monday, go to a harbour on a Tuesday. And I love that, because that's what we're all about. That's how,
brilliant.
When we're all working together, that's how we prevent suicides. It's a safety net, isn't it?
Yeah, and if between all of them, you could be open to somebody at every point, I mean, that would be the dream, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's what, isn't that how we prevent suicide? By all working together instead of doing things so separately, which I think has been done so many times in the past. And it's not about competition, is it? It's about collaboration. I saw a quote. Where did I see it? It was amazing. And it said, competition is for the people at the bottom, collaboration is for the people at the top. And I thought, wow. It was something like that.
Yeah,
and I just thought, wow, I love that.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
I really liked it. Did you see the Join the Dots tour that went round the north? It was...
Something about that is ringing a bell.
So we were part of that, and it was Paul Vittles from Towards Zero Suicide and Steve Phillip from Jordan Legacy, and they put on this big Join the Dots tour, and Warrington Wolves got involved, and Big Fandango at Bury, and all different people. Debbie from Liverpool got involved. I forgot what it's called. She's amazing. I'll find out for you, because I've forgotten, because I've been talking so much. I'm running out of brain power. And it was just incredible. But what we did, we put on a big event in Wigan. And we got everybody involved to do with suicide prevention and mental health. We invited as many people as possible. And it made such an impact, because what we try to do is work with the Wigan Council and work with Public Health Wigan and work with the authorities and work with Greater Manchester Mental Health and the NHS, because all these people really care, and it's about us all coming together so that the people in Wigan and Lee know that we don't want anyone to slip through. And if you've had a bad experience, honestly, people do care. We look at organisations. I've done it myself in the past, so I know how it feels to think, oh, they're rubbish of that organisation, or they're rubbish, that organisation, they don't care. But actually there are individuals in that organisation that are doing so much to try and make a difference. And we are all trying to help as many people as possible, because suicide sucks.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear about a suicide.
No,
Nobody does. It breaks your heart.
And by doing that and showing that there's, not just one, there's two, there's three, there's four, there's five, however many organisations that are all there, there's got to be one that might suit that particular person.
I think so. I think if you feel let down, contact another. And it's not about saying, oh, they treated me badly, or they're doing that. I think we can always come to a resolution as well. And not every organisation is going to suit somebody, but you will find somewhere that suits you. You don't stop asking for help if you need help, because the minute you stop asking and you isolate yourself, it's one of the most dangerous things you can do. Isolation's not good.
No.
I mean, I say that and it's really funny because, as you can tell, I'm really good at talking. I love a good chat, because that's my personality. I love a good chat, but actually the other side of it is I have to spend a lot of time on my own. So I can spend, days not having to bother with anybody, and I love it.
Yeah.
So when I do meet people, I am able to spend that time being full of life and chatting with people. But I do have to spend a lot of time in isolation. But then I have to say to people, no, I'm okay. I'm just, charging my batteries.
Yeah, exactly.
But the flip side is there are some people who will isolate, and they're doing it because they're feeling rock bottom. And then the more they isolate, they will become more poorly. And that's what we have to watch out for. That nobody's becoming more and more mentally ill.
That's it.
Because they're not reaching out.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to spot because people are so good at masking.
Yes, they are.
So again, it's all about asking the direct question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when I first started, I did my documentary a few years ago, and one of the things I was told was that, I lost my train of thought there, was about the worry that if you ask the question, you're putting an idea into somebody's mind. So like, even with, my own kids, I was scared to say,
right,
are you having suicidal thoughts? But, oh my God, I totally believe that, because once you've used that word, it stops people feeling frightened about it.
Of course.
And it also makes them realise that, I can talk about this.
Yeah.
Is this normal then?
Yeah. And the thing is, we actually teach that when we deliver the safe talk training, that, you are never going to put that in somebody's head, asking them, are you feeling suicidal? Have you got suicidal thoughts? Because if somebody has, they've already got the suicidal thoughts. But you're not going to make them decide to be suicidal by asking them, because if they haven't got suicidal thoughts, they haven't got suicidal thoughts. Everybody already knows that they can take their life. So you're not going to say, oh, yeah, that's an option. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
So you're not going to put it in the head.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
No.
So you've got to ask that question. And it's really strange because so many people say, I don't like saying the word suicide. And that needs to be, people need to say the word suicide. And I think the reason I've never had a problem saying it is because I've known suicide all my life. I've known about suicide all my life, and it's a word that I've never struggled to say. Isn't it funny that?
Yeah,
and it's just never bothered me.
No.
So I don't struggle saying it at all.
So just on EPiC Hope again. So
Yeah.
if there's somebody listening and they're thinking, oh, do you know what? I like to check this out. You know, how do they go about finding out where their closest place would be? Things like that.
So EPiC Hope, we have a website which is epichope.org.uk, and on there it tells you about all our harbours. They can contact us on that. We've got an email address on that or a contact form. We've also got social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook, EPiC Hope. Just look us up, it'll pop up. We've got an EPiC Hope peer support group as well on Facebook. People can join that if they want to. They need some, you know, just a connect group that they feel will help them. We're actually in the middle of updating our website as well, so there might be a few changes happening on that.
Okay.
I don't know when it's going to be launched any minute now. We're all trying to get things done on it, so look out for that. But yeah, we've also got the Hope Circuits as well, where we go out, which I'll be, obviously you'll have to find your way home because I'll be taking this camper van. Because as I told you, we're getting our camper van any minute, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, that is exciting.
I don't know why I'm so excited. I cannot, you know, be this happy while I'm helping people. But you never know. People might feel so relieved when they come in a camper van like this, because in our cars, it's just so upsetting not to be able to put people in our cars anymore, whereas we used to before we were under the covering of EPiC Hope. So yeah, we do interventions in places where people are known to take their lives.
Right. So what's the circuits? Tell us about the circuits.
Hope circuits are, we do specific routes every week, and we go into Wigan and Leigh. There's sadly places where people attempt to take their lives, you see. There are certain woods and certain train tracks and bridges and things. So we're in our cars at the moment, but we've been trying to save up and we've applied for bits of funding. We might be just about to get some more, which will be a larger amount, so then we can just about get our van. We got some and we thought we were getting a van, and then we realised if we got the van, we would not have a good enough van, and we'd probably end up spending too much money on looking after the van. So we're just waiting to get this little bit more money, then we can get the proper van, because we want people to be able to come into the van and have a drink and a relax, so that, you know, once we've done the intervention, people don't just feel like, you know, we just don't want to say, right, ta-ra. We want people to know they're cared for and be able to give them a hope and care package. And
so what do? Do you just drive to a spot and
we look for people, and we leave a card so that people know they can reach out for help. We've got lots of Z cards as well, because the public health, so Greater Manchester Mental Health, they have these Z cards. I don't know if you've ever seen them.
No.
So they've got lots of helplines on where people can reach out. And then we have our EPiC method cards as well. But those are usually what we give to people if anyone else is helping, who needs to know about suicide awareness and things. Because sometimes we've been out and sometimes we'll meet somebody who's already been talking to someone who's tried to take their life, and they're so relieved when someone turns up who's a suicide first aider.
Right.
There are some... The way we've met people in EPiC Hope has been quite incredible. You know, how people find out about you, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
We've got a town where there's a lot of broken people crying out for help, but we've also got a town of people who really care. And I think that's the message we're always trying to get out as well, that there is hope, and there are a lot of people who have a lot of hope and who want to save lives. And the people who are feeling rock bottom, we just want them to know that you might feel like absolutely nobody cares, but guess what? There are a lot of people who do, and you've just not met them yet. But there are a lot of people who really care about you. And if you're in that place where, you know, where I was, and you just feel like you just can't do it anymore, I'm here now, and
still here to tell the tale.
To tell the tale, and the thing is, I'm a different person as well, because we can make that. I'm sorry, am I boring you, Elsie? Oh my gosh, he's flat
Just
out.
did a
He's
little
so
huff.
gorgeous. We change, don't we, through experience, and we look at life in a different way. But I'm so glad I didn't take my life. I'm so glad I didn't take my life. Like, my daughter's just graduated law and she's just amazing, and I'm so proud of her, and I wouldn't have seen that. And it's, you know, my son's in the Royal Navy and he's a diver, and he's amazing, and there are so many incredible things. I became an ordained minister, and I get to meet people all the time in chaplaincy work, and I've written 2 books, and I get beautiful emails and messages off people who say that I give them hope, and that means the world to me, because if I do die tomorrow, I'm so glad that I've made a difference to people's lives, because guess what? If you leave anything behind, you just want to know that you've helped someone in life, don't you? I think that's all I really ever hope I can do. Just like I've helped someone else have a better day.
Yeah.
Really.
Absolutely.
Don't we? I think that's it.
I want to take you back to something that you mentioned about your brain.
My brain.
Yeah, you said about...
Do you actually still believe I've got one?
Definitely.
Yeah, go on. 'Cause
you said something about your brain and brain work and...
Yeah, so after my accident, I was really poorly, but then I went back to work. Oh my gosh, it's nuts. But I went back to work, but then I couldn't. I was so poorly. I was making mistakes, and my personality was changed and everything. I was setting fire to the kitchen. The head pain I was going through was horrific. And me and my daughter weren't telling anybody just how ill I was. Plus, I was also having operations on my arm, and I had a lot of nerve damage, and I was in a bad way. But because I've always got on with things, I think I was trying to ignore everything. Anyway, it took I had to see 3 different neurologists before they actually gave me the correct medication, which I'll probably be on for a long time. Because I have like non-epileptic seizures in my brain. So I can't, like, when I get very exhausted, so I can get really exhausted whether it's, so like today, even though I'm full of happiness and joy, I'm having a wonderful day, I might be absolutely exhausted later and it'll just knock me for 6. So it's like fatigue. And it's the weirdest thing. It's not like, I can't explain it. It's not like being tired. It just absolutely knocks you. So I have to really be careful of that.
That must be hard for you.
Oh, yeah, it is really hard.
Because you are so
and I think because
full of energy.
Yeah, and I think, but that's because you see me now.
Yeah.
So, like Wednesday, I might just have to go to bed for the day. So people don't know I'm in bed for the day because I don't tell anybody. Like my daughter knows, and my couple of my friends will know, and they'll say, "Are you doing this?" But I don't tell people. I don't email everyone and go, "So I'm going to bed like for Wednesday, so you won't hear from me." So it's just because we've learnt now how I have my life.
Manage it, yeah.
But or else I'd be really, really ill. So like I said, last week I was definitely hitting rock bottom. Exhaustion. I've not been listening to my body. I've had a lot of things to deal with, and like I said, I wrote a poem. I've penciled in a breakdown, but I don't have the time.
It just hits the nail on the head for so many people.
It's really
that
strange,
probably,
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really strange. It's because that's how I was getting to. I think at our age, we have to know how to look after ourselves, because we can't look after anybody else if we don't look after ourselves. And even though I know all that, I wasn't, like, I needed a good telling off. And I had some amazing people wrap me up in cotton wool last week and look after me, like really step up. And you always remember those people as well, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you remember the ones who didn't care.
Yeah.
as well.
You do.
But yeah, so neuroplasticity, discovered that about new neural pathways and how we can build those by learning something new.
Right.
So yeah, this was me trying to look after my brain over the past few years. Yeah, I learnt lots of things really about the brain, and I'm actually, a lot of it's in a book. I'm going to say my next book, but it's kind of, there's about 6 books on my laptop.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's the time. I've just not got the time. It's but yeah, there's a book. There is a book. So there's a lot going into that. I did write a little bit about it. I did a second book called Elevation.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
It's more of a devotional. So I do write about, I did write about neuroplasticity and stuff about the brain in that. It's on one of the days.
Right.
Obviously, I talk about faith in it as well. But a few people contacted me about that and said it's amazing what you wrote about that, because how it helped you. So I wrote about that. But it did really help me. Because I was very suicidal. Because what happened after the accident is I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore.
You'd lost your identity.
It's I can't even explain what it is. How do I explain? Because even now, talking to you now, I am not who I was. I am not exactly who I was before my accident. Like, there's little bits of me not there. I don't know how to explain it to you. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's but I have a mission that we need to do a lot more research, even not that, a lot more campaigning about the link between brain injury and suicide. I honestly believe that in Wigan, we've got a high rate of suicides, and I just think we've got a big rugby town. A lot of people played rugby when they were young, whacked their heads.
Yeah.
And then we've got all these men who have taken their lives in the 30s and 40s. And if you damage your pituitary gland, it causes severe depression. And if nobody's picked up on that, they could have taken their life because they've not had the right hormones in the body. So there's something there. Headway have found out 81%. That's a big percentage, isn't it?
And like you've just said, if you're aware of that and can identify it, then you can
get the hormone help. Yeah, you can get an injection. Honestly, it's a massive issue to me. I think it's so important that we do something about it. So I almost feel like, gosh, I even had the accident for a reason. I mean,
in order to push for things.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wish I hadn't, but
well, yeah. I mean,
But even this right arm, it'll never be right. This arm. But I did meet some lovely doctors at Wrightington Hospital. You've got to look on the bright side.
You have. And I absolutely love that, Ellie. I mean, you're sat opposite me in the camper van, shining like a beacon because you're in your yellow EPiC Hope T-shirt.
Yay!
And you've just got such an amazing, what's that word, infectious smile. It's incredible. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do the podcast.
You're welcome, and I hope we've made a difference. Can I just say, for anyone listening, I know we've spoken about some really powerful things today, and I've been able to process a lot of what's happened to me in my life. But if anybody is struggling with postnatal depression, if anyone's struggling with domestic abuse or sexual abuse, I hope and pray that they reach out and get help, because there's a lot of help out there. So please reach out. Do not suffer in silence, because there are people that care. And if you're feeling suicidal, please reach out to us, EPiC Hope, if you're in Wigan. But for anywhere else in the country, reach out to Andy's Man Club or call a helpline. I know also now you can ring 111 and get through to a mental health nurse who can help straight away. So please do that as well. And thank you so much for having me on Suicide Sucks. I really appreciate you, Mick.
Thank you.
It starts with an itch and a tingle, and then it builds and expands. And suddenly, all at once, my legs won't let me stand. I scratch till my fingers go numb.